the Dutch national soccer team out there. It's like, it's a little too orange for me, guys. Wow. But I don't know. I kind of dig it. I kind of do, because in the grand scheme of things, what does a Friday night game against Washington in November mean? Nothing. And frankly, what does it mean to the Celtics? Not all that much. But stupid, silly little things happen in these games, like point differential and calling timeouts at the end, and it's dumb, but I don't know. It kind of tickles me. I'm tickled. Do I care about it? No, I don't care about it. I cared about it last year because I thought it was an opportunity to learn something about the Celtics and their ability to execute a task, execute a situation, which obviously had been their Achilles heel for years. And not that, the NBA Cup ultimately, their experience in the NBA Cup ultimately proved that they were ready to win an NBA championship. No, they got knocked out by Indiana, and it was disappointing. And then they swept Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals. So what does this mean? Absolutely nothing. But I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's better. I'll give you this. It's better than watching a game against the Washington Wizards on a random Friday night. It's better than that. That point differential stuff at the end of this game, kind of fun. Kind of fun. That 23-point win, you need to win by 23 last year over the Bulls, that was fun. That was cool. And you learned a little something about the Celtics in that moment. They set out a goal, and they executed it. They delivered it. That was a cool little moment last year. So that's why I cared about it last year. Like, this is kind of fun and whatever, but I actually legitimately cared about it last year. This year, I don't care. I don't care the results. Celtics could have lost tonight. I wouldn't have come on the air and ripped them for losing an NBA Cup game. I just wouldn't have done that. This year, it doesn't matter to me one bit because they've already been there and they've done that. They've climbed to the mountaintop. There's nothing the Celtics can do, absolutely nothing in a regular season that will make me think any differently about them. They are the best team in the NBA. I think for the most part, they've proven that this regular season. I know Cleveland was 15-0 until the other night, but I still think the Celtics are the best, most talented team in the NBA. And unless they have injuries, that's not going to change. Not much in this regular season is going to change my opinion on that. So that's why this year it's a little bit different. I don't think it matters to them this year. Frankly, I thought the Celtics were lifeless for much of that first half tonight. They did not care. Did not care. And frankly, they shouldn't. Again, they're already NBA champions. What does winning the NBA Cup mean for them? And they played like it. They played like it tonight. Which is why I liked what I saw from Joe Mazzulla. I think tonight was a really good night for Joe Mazzulla. This is my takeaway from this game tonight. And you can offer your thoughts as we sit here, Celtics postgame. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray, 617-779-0985. This was a really nice night for Joe Mazzulla to try to motivate his team. There were a lot of different moments where Mazzulla pushed different buttons to try to motivate this team. And I've seen growth in Joe Mazzulla. From year 1 to year 3, he would not have been doing this year 1 because he wouldn't have had the command or the experience or the know-how to do it in year 1. He's gotten so much better at his job in a really fast way. Really fast. I talked about this at the end of last year. Like the improvement that I saw from Joe Mazzulla from year 1 to year 2, and now the improvement or just the continued growth, I want to say, with Joe Mazzulla from year 2 to year 3, I feel good about him. I thought Joe Mazzulla had a really good night tonight because you could recognize all night long he knew his team didn't have it. Why should they have it, to be totally honest? And he spent the whole night pushing different buttons to motivate his team. First quarter, went to the bench early. Celtics were on an 8-0 run when he put the bench in. Or they went on an 8-0 run. Put the bench in with Jason Tatum late in the first. They were not playing good basketball. They led by 2 at the end of 1. Then the starters came back in, started the second quarter. It wasn't very good after that. Second half, Joe Mazzulla goes after the officials on kind of a nothing. They missed the call, sure, that's fine. But again, random Friday night in Washington, it doesn't matter. You were just reminded yesterday that you won the championship last year, and this game really doesn't matter. You go to the White House, you meet the president, you do all that stuff, and now you got to show up and play the 2-11 Wizards. Of course they were dead tonight. Of course they were. But Mazzulla recognized that. So he starts fighting the officials. Gets teed up. A strife, I tell you. On a random Friday night game that doesn't mean a damn. It was obvious in that moment. Max said this on the broadcast. It was obvious in that moment he was trying to light a fire under his team. And it worked enough. I mean, the Celtics outscored Washington by double digits after that. And then at the end of the game, Mazzulla went for margin of victory, which we'll get to. But I do believe we have the head coach available at the podium. Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla.
Joe, you went with Xavier for the first time in a while. Came in and gave you guys some energy. Yeah. What made you go to him, and what did you see from him?
I just thought he's been working hard, and I felt like the game needed something different. And those guys are always ready, and we wanted to be a little bit more switching. And the last time we played them, we played him and Luke together, and he did some great things on the defensive end, especially in the Valanciunas minutes. So I just kind of wanted to win those minutes in the fourth quarter, and to credit to him, just kind of working hard, being ready, and I thought he gave us some good stuff.
And tonight, three-pointers weren't falling at all. Down the stretch, you had a lot of Jason and Jalen kind of back to the basket, low post, high post. I guess one of it is, what's it like to have like those guys be able to go to that when the other stuff isn't falling?
Yeah.
And just,
I just think it's important to get to that throughout times. I thought we were generating good looks. I thought we were running good offense for the majority of the game. It just didn't happen to fall. But when we needed a basket, they were able to get to the spot that they wanted, and it's a credit to them. And you need to have guys like that. And so we were able to get to the free throw line. We were able to get inside the paint. And it's good to win a game when you're not playing at your best offensively. And we had 3 25-point quarters defensively. So you got to win different ways, and winning down the stretch with your defense, and those guys doing that is good.
Coach, what were your words to the team in the start of the fourth quarter?
I don't think I said much of anything.
Not at all?
No, I just drew up a play and told them we just got to win the fourth quarter. We had we had two in a row 25-point quarters. So going into the fourth, we needed to maintain that, and we just needed to just get to our spacing, take our time on the offensive end.
Joe, when you picked up the tech in the second half there, what were you frustrated with in that moment? And
I thought it changed the energy in the arena. Did you feel that?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, in a moment like that, do you try to pick one up to energize the guys? Would you even think about getting ejected to energize the team in a spot like that?
It wasn't really about energizing the team. I think it was just manipulating the environment. I thought it's kind of what the environment needed at the time, and you just have to make those calls from time to time. So really, I thought the team was, we were playing pretty good. It wasn't like I needed to do that, but I felt like it was a way to manipulate the environment.
What does that manipulate the environment?
All right, that's the head coach Joe Mazzulla. I don't think he was trying to manipulate the environment. That's a nice dodge. It's a good dodge by Joe Mazzulla. Of course I was trying to fire up my team. And by the way, it worked. Good for him. He pressed the right button there. It's a good night for Joe Mazzulla. And he's not going to come out and say, I guess he could come out after the game and say, the team was kind of dead all night. Listen, we were at the White House yesterday. I'm sure the guys had a good night out last night in Washington. You're celebrating last year. I get it. It's human nature, right? You go to the White House, you celebrate the thing, you have a night off in Washington, you go out, you do your thing, whatever, and then you got to play the freaking Wizards the next night in a game that doesn't matter. And the building's dead. Why? Because it's Washington and there's nothing going on. And your team's dead because the game doesn't matter in the end. And whether or not it's an NBA Cup game, it doesn't matter to them. And Mazzulla fired him up. A good moment. Good moment for Joe Mazzulla. And he said, it was trying to shift the momentum, shift the energy in the building. It was trying to shift the energy in the team. And he recognized that. That's a coach with his finger on the pulse. A good night for Joe Mazzulla. Let's get into what they did at the end of the game. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Margin of victory, baby. Skaz, you want to talk math? You don't? We're going to talk math. Come on.
Not a math guy.
I'm not a math guy either, but this forces me to be a math guy. The Celtics have a plus 14 point differential. And what that means going into the final game of the NBA Cup. By the way, who is the final game against? Couldn't tell you. But I know they've got a plus 14. Could you tell me, Skaz? Who's the final game of the NBA Cup against?
I want to say Chicago, but I am not confident in that answer.
That sounds right, but that was last year.
I know. That's why I said Chicago.
Would it be the same thing this year?
Go beat the Bulls by 23 again.
Right, exactly. It's like this is what the Chicago Bulls have become. Is like just every year you lose by 25, so a team like the Celtics can go to the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. It's a sad place. It's a sad place to be. Find that out. I'm sure somebody on the YouTube chat will know who they're playing. But again, do I care? No, not really. Terrence says it's Chicago. That's kind of cruel. Weren't the people in Chicago kind of pissed off about that thing last year? That like the Celtics made a mockery of it? Really made a mockery of the game. It's like, we're going to come out and we're going to destroy you. To which, I mean, I don't care about. You get paid to stop them. Go out there and stop them. Yes, it is Chicago. 617-779-0985. Also, I'm seeing in the YouTube chat, we have a Friday Joe song?
Yes, Friday nights at 9 or 10 p.m. The Joe Show has adopted a song to end the week, basically.
I'm all for it. I didn't even know what the song is. Play it. Am I going to know what the song is?
I have a feeling you probably won't, but we'll find out.
All right, well, a lot of faith you're showing in me right now, Skaz. Quick update, no commercials, right back with you.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston.
Patriots!
From the opening kickoff to the final play.
Touchdown!
Your home of the pass.
Yes.
98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Celtics pick up a win tonight, 108-96 over the Washington Wizards. They are now 2-1 in group play in the NBA Cup with a plus 14-point differential. Get excited. Minnesota Timberwolves come to town on Sunday. That's not an NBA Cup game because, again, it's very easy to follow. Patriots getting ready for the Dolphins on Sunday. Now some questions about Christian Gonzalez and his availability. He's been added to the injury report with a hip problem. He was limited at practice today and is now questionable for that game. Brock Purdy out for the 49ers on Sunday with a shoulder problem. Brandon Allen will start. Giants today releasing quarterback Daniel Jones less than 2 years after handing him a 4-year deal worth up to $160 million. Bruins in Detroit tomorrow night after last night's 1-0 win against Utah. Joe Sacco's first win as interim head coach. Mark McLaughlin called up today from Providence. Red Sox agreeing to bring back righty Brian Mata on a minor league deal. He's been a pitching prospect for the last 15 to 17 years, which means he's no longer a prospect. Also, some hot stove rumors. Notorious Scott Boras mouthpiece John Heyman saying that the Red Sox are among the teams interested in third baseman Alex Bregman. And Inter Miami's owner says he expects Lionel Messi to stay with the team beyond 2025. Messi's contract set to expire with the MLS club after next season. Headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Okay, even I know this, Gaz. It works, though. This is a nice end of the week song. Not that I had any doubt. I mean, everybody knows this. Find on the road.
I shouldn't have doubted you.
No, I mean, you should have. I mean, let's be honest. You should have. Am I cultured? Like, among all the Sports Hub folks, pop culture, I would say, is not necessarily one of my strong suits. I'm cultured in different ways. I'm very fancy, Skaz. You want to talk about I don't know, something highbrow? I would say I'm among the more highbrow Sports Hub people, which is that's a very low brow, I'll tell you. It's, you know, but among the highest of the low brows, I'd say I'm up up towards the top. You want to call in and talk about, the best number from Les Mis? Like, I'm your guy. That's me. Call in and talk about ancient Rome or Greek mythology? I'm your guy.
Stenberg with a great point back here. Says McCarthy doesn't like chicken but loves escargot.
Sure do. Oh, escargot.
That's highbrow right there.
The best. No, I am highbrow. I am. Here's the thing, Skaz. Like, and this is because of, in some ways, where I grew up. I split my childhood between Winchester and Carver, which have to be the two most different towns in Massachusetts. One is, well, it's Winchester. And we all know it's Winchester. It's snooty. It's highbrow. Probably don't have to go too far to find escargot in Winchester. I mean, I know Lucia's is Italian, but like maybe they serve it up there. Like you can find that. You don't find too many restaurants serving escargot in Carver. I'll just tell you that right now. But yeah, the highest brow of all the sports hub people, which again, very, very low bar right there. It's a nice little rejoin. I enjoyed that. 617-779-0985. This point differential tonight. Joe Mazzulla going for it at the end. Celtics up 10. 5 seconds to go. Mazzulla calls a timeout. They've got the ball. Just run out the clock. Nope. We're going to run a play. Holiday got fouled, went to the line, hit both. You get a stop on the defensive end. You win by 12. Acting like the NBA Cup matters, which it does not. It does not matter to the Celtics. However, you're almost kind of, to me, gaming the gimmick, because this is a gimmick. The NBA Cup is a gimmick. It's a joke. But why not play the game? The fact of the matter is, the Celtics are going to have to find some moments along the way to motivate themselves. Over the course of 82 games, Skaz, you and I were talking about this as we're sitting here watching the game. We're like, Jesus, can we just get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, can we fast forward? Like, there is that element to this regular season for the Celtics. You know it better than me, Skaz. You're here for the majority of the games. Have there been a number of times, and you do the Green Teamer podcast with Jay Stu. You are a Green Teamer. This is your sport. But have there been moments this year where you're just like, oh, Jesus, what does this matter?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And you feel that way as a fan. You have to imagine the team feels that way at times. I know they'd never say it. They're very professional, very buttoned up when it comes to that stuff. But I think Mazzulla, even in his post-game press conference, you were kind of harping on it that you give him credit for changing the intensity, changing the chemistry, whatever he called it in the arena. But he knew his team didn't have legs tonight. It's a long season. These guys know that the Washington Wizards are not their competition. Their competition is maybe nobody in the East with the way it looks right now. I mean, I want to give Cleveland credit for their start, but what does that look like when Kristaps Porzingis is back? Who knows? So, yeah, the Celtics have had a couple of these games where they come out slow, don't shoot the three well. I thought the rebounding in the first half was kind of telling as well. They get out-rebounded 29-18 in the first half.
Outshot.
They've been outshot all year, I think Randy mentioned, which is kind of a wild stat for them to be this good and get outshot. Is 6-2 on the offensive rebounds in the first half as well. So it's going to happen. How do they respond? 25-point quarters seem to be an emphasis defensively in Mazzulla's post-game press conference. So just, getting back to defense, going to Tatum and Brown late when you need buckets. And guess what they were doing? They weren't hucking up threes at the end of that game. They were both working closer to the basket. And I know there's people that are going to look at that and say, well, they should be doing that all game. And I get it. But that's not how they play. It's not how they want to play. It's not how they want to run the offense. But that is the advantage you have when you have Tatum and Brown. And they're going to sleepwalk some nights, but the difference between a championship-level Celtics team and a Celtics team led by this same group, but with Marcus Smart and Grant Williams, is they lose these games. They don't lose these games anymore. You beat bad teams. You take care of business. However you feel about the NBA Cup, they improved their standings in the NBA Cup, and a win's a win. It's a long season. Take it. Run. You got out of there with a win. Much different challenge on Sunday afternoon.
The fact of the matter is you're going to have to set artificial kind of pointless goals that you're just going to need to execute on. And I think in some ways that's what the NBA Cup is and what it can be for the Celtics if you're smart enough to take advantage. Like, in a normal situation, And again, the NBA Cup doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they win the thing. It doesn't matter if they lose the thing. It does not matter. But the end of this game, you're up 10. Now you have kind of a built-in excuse, if you're Joe Mazzulla, to call a timeout and run a play. And it might be simple, and it might sound stupid, and it might sound like it doesn't matter. But there are going to be a lot of moments this year where the Celtics really aren't going to have to call a timeout, 5 seconds to go, and run a play and get a good playoff, right? Because they're going to be so much better than teams. They're going to win teams. They're going to sleepwalk really through the season. And the NBA Cup gives you an excuse to say, guys, we need 2 points here. Go get them. When in actuality, I mean, you really don't need 2 points, but you can justify it. And the other team isn't going to take great exception to it. They might take small exception to it, but you can justify it by saying, point differential matters, and we got to do this thing. We're trying to win. You know, you get paid to stop us. Go stop us. That's why the 23-point margin of victory thing last year was good. It was a nice little test for the Celtics. And it feels to me like Joe Mazzulla used this tonight as an opportunity to create a small, little artificial, in the grand scheme of things, meaningless moment to run his team through and to say, all right, let's see how we execute this. They're going to have to find moments along the way. They're going to have to manufacture and create moments along the way. It's going to get the competitive juices going a little bit. It's going to be a long year of 82 games where they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, and we all know it. That's why Joe Mazzulla got teed up tonight to shift the energy in the building. Well, he had his finger on the pulse of that thing. He knew they had nothing tonight. Can't blame them for having nothing tonight, and he still got something out of them. That's the sign of a good coach. He's really improved in the last 3 years. 617-779-0985. Shane in Rhode Island wants to talk about escargot and Kristaps Porzingis. I'll take both thoughts. Hi, Shane.
All right. Well, then I'll start with Porzingis. When do you think he's coming back? And it doesn't matter. The Celtics, I agree with you. The Celtics are going to be the number one seed. They're going to win. I think when Porzingis comes back, and then they start taking it seriously in the playoffs, it's really, I really think that they're going to do it again. And caviar or escargot, I don't know which one.
Escargot.
One's fish eggs, one's what?
Snails.
Escargot?
Snails.
Those are snails.
Those are snails.
Well, I guess all right. Well, I guess that's it.
You should try them, Shane. There's got to be a good restaurant in Providence that does escargot. I'll tell you that. Best restaurant. Now we're really morphing into the Joe Murray show. The best escargot around here used to be, and it wasn't in Boston, you know, there are great French restaurants in Boston, used to be at a spot called the Milepost in Duxbury, and their escargot was the best I've ever had. There's now a spot in Wareham that does it too. It's called, why am I drawing a blank? Damn it. Cafe Soleil. Oh, you're like, McCarthy, where? Escargot in Wareham? Trust me. It's good. And when is Kristaps Porzingis coming back? Soon-ish. December was targeted. He's ahead of schedule. He was practicing with the Maine Celtics. Keep him on ice, man. Keep him on ice. I mean, not that there's really any way to manage that guy because he's going to get hurt in the end. You just have to hope that he gives you enough. This would be my one concern. My one concern about the Celtics. They need either Horford or Porzingis. They do. And I don't know if they can win. Let me rephrase that. Of course they can win without both of those guys because they have Brown and Tatum. It's the best combo in the league. You name it. They would really run into trouble if Porzingis is hurt and Horford is either hurt or is broken down by the end. Like, you got to manage those guys. And that's why over the course of, 82 games, you're going to see a lot of Queta. You're going to see a lot of Cornette. You saw Tillman tonight. They've got to manage that. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges that Joe Mazzulla faces, is managing those guys all season long. Tonight he pressed the right buttons. 617-779-0985. We can continue with the Celtics. Got some leftover Patriots thoughts that I want to get to from earlier. Haven't mentioned the Red Sox at all tonight. More reporting on them and Juan Soto, and David Ortiz is talking. There's a lot to get into. Plus, later on in this hour, have you ever wanted to get away from your wife and kids? There is one man who has taken it to the extreme. I will explain how and anything you want. It's McCarthy in for Joe here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
had it figured out. He knew how to save his vacation time, and he's just going to bang him out right here. Thanksgiving week, done. See ya. Thanksgiving feels like a Joe holiday. I mean, I know it's a holiday for all of us, but if I were to think about like the two holidays that I think of most when I think of Joe Murray, and I think of Joe often, how could you not? As I'm sure you do, Skaz, even more than me. But
This is Detective Captain Eric Benson of the Massachusetts State Police. The Massachusetts State Police have activated the Amber Alert system for abducted children. Please be on the lookout for a gray 2023 Toyota RAV4 bearing Massachusetts license plate registration number 2FZD76. The vehicle has a rear license plate frame that is black with white lettering with the word Copeland written across the top. Janelle Trinidad, Alicia Campos, and Aaliyah Campos have been abducted and are in extreme danger. Janelle Trinidad, Alicia Campos, and Aaliyah Campos were last seen at school in Stoughton shortly after 2:30 p.m. on November 22nd, 2024. Janelle Trinidad is a 10-year-old Hispanic male with long brown hair, brown eyes, approximately 4 foot 8 inches tall, and weighs approximately 80 pounds. Janelle Trinidad wears eyeglasses. Alicia Campos is a 9-year-old Hispanic female with long brown hair, brown eyes, approximately 4 feet tall, and weighs approximately 60 pounds. Aaliyah Campos is an 8-year-old Hispanic female with long brown hair, brown eyes, approximately 3 feet 10 inches tall, and weighs approximately 70 pounds. Janelle Trinidad, Alicia Campos, and Aaliyah Campos were abducted by Ashley Vasquez, who is described as a 29-year-old Hispanic female with long, straight blonde hair. Ashley Vasquez is approximately 5 foot 1 inch tall and weighs approximately 90 pounds. We need your help. Anyone with information is asked to call 911. Do not attempt to stop or apprehend the vehicle or suspect. Call 911.
All right, we're back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm assuming that went out over the air, the emergency alert system from the Massachusetts State Police, an Amber Alert coming out of Stoughton tonight, which, of course, if you've been on social media, you've probably heard about. I'm sure some of you have probably gotten the notifications on your phone as well. Once again, Stoughton Police and the Massachusetts State Police looking for your help in finding 3 children. An Amber Alert coming out of Stoughton tonight, we'll say, did get a little bit of notice about this earlier on from somebody, south of town, and we certainly hope everything is okay there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Sports Hub Headlines here, and we'll continue with some Red Sox discussion after this, and anything you want at 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
Sports Hub Headlines.
Celtics with a 108-96 win over the Washington Wizards tonight. They're now 2-1 in the group, plus 14 differential for the C's as they will wrap up NBA Cup play event. in the DR. No doubt about it. I mean, he is as important a force in the baseball world in the Dominican as there is. I mean, Ortiz and Pedro Martinez are two of the biggest players in the history of the DR. So that should matter in some sense, right? The Red Sox have a long and documented history of having, important figures from Latin America play for them. That should be an attractive thing. They have obviously, no doubt, the Red Sox are one of the biggest teams in the Dominican. So having a guy like David Ortiz appealing to star players is a good thing. Having David Ortiz as an ambassador for your organization and the game is a good thing. Same for Pedro, who's on the payroll, with David Ortiz and the Red Sox and all that. So that's all well and good. And those types of stuff matter on the margins. I really do believe that type of stuff matter on the margins. But the problem is the problem has not been the margins for the Red Sox. The problem has been for years now their willingness to pay. And generally their lack of competitiveness when it comes to contracts, finances, you name it. So do I think that the Red Sox are maybe more serious in the past about spending some money? Yeah. Do I think the Red Sox are maybe more serious than they've been in the last 5 years and maybe more into the idea of trying to build a winning baseball team? Yeah, I agree. I think they probably are. I just don't know if they now have the pull or if they're truly willing to go as far as they need to go on a player like Juan Soto. Because it's a long way. It's a long way to go from, well, we're really not going to spend any money. We'll only spend 1 year, $10 million on a pitcher, to being like, well, maybe now we'll, go into the 100, or 200 million for a pitcher or the right player, you name it. That's already a big enough jump for the Red Sox to make that I'm still not convinced they're going to make. You want to be in the market for guys like Alex Bregman? Yeah, it's going to cost you a lot of money, but it's not going to cost you Juan Soto money. I don't think, come on, let's be real. They're not going that far. I think the Red Sox are still kind of kidding themselves and thinking that they still have a little bit more pull and, maybe it'll all be in the same ballpark and they'll get him. Nope, it's not going to be in the same ballpark. You're not going to go as far as Steve Cohen. Hell, I don't think Steinbrenner, son of Steinbrenner, is going to go as far as Steve Cohen. I don't know if they're going to go as far as the Dodgers. The Red Sox are not that serious. They might be more serious than in years past, but they're not that serious. A lot's been made of Sam Kennedy's comments to the Boston Globe, and in recent days, I think there were couple interesting comments. There was one comment that I liked from Kennedy and one comment that I really disliked. As he said the other day, quote, "Look, we have to add, and that's what we're trying to do. I think we're in a good position to add right now. We need more pitching, front of the rotation, and a bullpen. We feel good about our positional core, we really do. A high priority is pitching, but everything and anything's on the table for us. Free agency, trades, promotions from the minor leagues." So you can say, McCarthy, I don't believe anything that Kennedy says. I understand why. I generally don't. That comment, though, is a little bit more specific. It's a little bit more, yeah, we know what we need to do to improve this team. We need front of the rotation guys. When he starts talking about front of the rotation guys, I say, maybe you get it a little bit more. Maybe you understand. He said, we feel good about our positional core. We really do. As they should. Yep, they're too left-handed heavy, but they should feel good about that. Everything and anything's on the table for us. Free agency, trades, promotions from the minor leagues. Trades were not on the table for the Red Sox for a long time. The answer would have been, well, we can't sacrifice our future. We've got these great young players coming up, and, you just wait and see. There's a little bit of a shift in Kennedy's tone and approach there, which is good. So I kind of like that. There. What I didn't like from Kennedy was this. Quote, "In our free agency discussions so far, there has been, I would say, a very strong feeling from agents and players that the Boston Red Sox are going to be a force over the next 5 to 7 years, given the guys who have already emerged at the big league level and the guys who are coming from the AAA and levels below that," he said. This, I think, is a load of crap. I don't think you're sitting down with Juan Soto and he's saying, I was looking at Marcelo Meyer and what he did in Double-A this year before he got hurt, and I really liked it. Or, in the lower minors, you drafted a guy in Braden Montgomery, and I thought that was a really good draft pick. Juan Soto's not saying that. Free agents are not saying that. This, to me, is a load of crap. I don't buy it one bit. Players want money. That's it. I do not think players are concerned or, frankly, all that interested with what is coming up through the farm system. Players and free agents are probably much more likely to look at the last 5 years than the next 5 years and say, well, man, the Portland Sea Dogs were really pretty good last year, so, this is going to be good for you guys. Like, there might be the occasional player here or there who's that into it and is that passionate about that and, says, hey, your organization's really headed in the right place. They're going to say your organization is headed in the right place because of what you've done and what you're doing at the big league level, not at the minor league levels. I do not think players are concerned with what's coming up through the farm system. I don't think free agents and agents feel that way one bit. And if they are paying attention, you know what they're going to say? Hey, jackass, you don't have any pitchers. So, yeah, you can feel really good about what's coming up through the minor league system, and we're going to go 80 and 82 because you don't have a damn pitcher anywhere in this organization. Because guess what? I looked at Double-A Portland last year, and it's all hitters, guy. Come on. I don't think the Red Sox are as positioned for success as presently constructed, as they say they are. Because they haven't addressed the pitching need. So it's going to take two things before I get to the calls. It's going to take two things for ownership and baseball ops to do to put the Red Sox in a position to be a force over the next 5 to 7 years, as Sam Kennedy says. Two things they're going to be willing to do, if they're willing to do, and actually do, that will turn them into a force. One, spend money. Simple. Spend more money than you've spent. And I still don't believe them when they say they're ready to spend. Kennedy says, we might even go into the luxury tax. I don't know, a month and a half ago, you were saying it would be a disadvantage to say whether or not you were going into the luxury tax. Now, all of a sudden, you're trying to sell us on something, and you say, hey, man, maybe we'll do it. I call BS. I call BS on that. So the number one thing, of course, they need to do is spend money. And the number two thing, you got to start trading some of those prospects, man. You got to start trading them. Not all of them, but some of them. Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony, all left-handed hitters. Got Jaron Duran, Tristan Casas up here. Lefties, Devers, lefty. Yoshida, lefty. Do I need to do the lefty-righty thing again? I don't think I need to do it. It's time to start trading, guys. Time to start being aggressive. I will believe it when I see it with this team. With ownership, at least. With Craig Breslow, there's no excuse. The budget's the budget. That's not under your control. That's not under your power. But you can still make a trade with a prospect, trade a prospect for a pitcher. You can do that. Stay within the budget. You can trade Jaron Duran or Tristan Casas or Aurelio Abreu for a pitcher who can help you. That's a baseball move. That's not a budget move. That's a baseball move. No excuses there. But I'm still not buying it, nor should you. 617-779-0985. Mike in Mansfield. Hey, Mike.
Dude, Matt, you just kind of nailed that, right? I mean, Soto, I wouldn't want to pay for Soto for $600 million. I'd rather pay half that cost and get 3 or 4 guys into that, especially in that rotation, right? So, I'm going to throw an idea off you, Matt, all right?
Yeah.
I think you were absolutely right with the pitching, right? So if I was GM, I'm going to put my GM hat on. I'm going to sign 2 frontline starters. One of them probably Max Fried in some type, right? You need that veteran ace in there, or, 1B, 1C, right? He's definitely a proven pitcher. And then I'm looking at Jackson Merrill. I'm looking at Jackson Cherio, for the Padres and for the Brewers. Why don't we just call up the kids for the bats now, go through spring training, put them in place, and then evaluate from there? Like you said, there's a lot of left-handed bats. You can definitely move one of those guys and get the right guy in your lineup. But I think that's the right move. I think you got to pay for pitching, and then you also have to take those risks on your prospects, and you can't be shy about it either. These guys aren't 20 years old anymore.
Yeah.
These guys have been in the organization for a minute.
No, it's a good point, Mike. And actually, I want to get to a tweet that Tyler Milliken had earlier on tonight from an Alex Spear report about the future of Jaren Duran. Let's find out here. Scrolling. Jesus, how many times does Milliken tweet in a day? 11 hours ago, 12 hours, 13 hours ago. Do you know how many Milliken tweets I just scrolled through? How many Red Sox tweets? I mean, don't get me wrong. The hot stove is burning, baby. How many freaking tweets do we have?
I'll tell you one thing. It was definitely a longer scroll than that Ralph Hay Wikipedia page we were doing earlier.
It's not a long scroll there. It was not. Milliken, just like Chris Cotillo said earlier this month, Alex Spear reporting the Red Sox still haven't approached Jaren Duran about a potential extension. Quote, according to multiple industry sources, to this point in his career, Duran and the team have not had any formal discussions of an extension. Milliken adds Duran isn't a free agent until 2029, when he will be 32. See, that's the type of guy I move on from. I don't know if his value will ever be higher than it is right now. He's not the type of guy I want to extend, and I think the Red Sox are actually making the right decision there. You don't extend a guy, a speed guy, like a true speed guy, and that's who Duran is. You don't extend him beyond the age of 32. You do not do that. So, see what you can get. Some of these lefties need to go. Some of these prospects need to go. And you're going to have to balance it out. You know, to me, a perfect Red Sox offseason is, I mean, obviously you signed Juan Soto. I mean, the whole point, like, I'd rather have 3 or 4 guys instead of Juan Soto. I actually disagree with that because I think he's that special a hitter. I think he's that special a hitter. And I also think, too, from the business standpoint, the Red Sox need something to signal to you that they care. And nothing would signal that more than paying Juan Soto $600 million or whatever it's going to cost to sign him, $700, $500, whatever it is, to say, all right, for the next 10 to 14 years, this guy's going to be our left fielder. Which, by the way, as a baseball fan, like a baseball nerd, that is a pants-off thing. Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Jim Rice, Manny Ramirez, Juan Soto, over 100 years patrolling left field at Fenway Park. I can dig it. I think Soto could probably dig that too, right? I mean, you know, like he can have the Ortiz thing. Ortiz and Pedro can pitch him on it, and Soto cares about the history of the game, it seems like, and he prefers East Coast to West Coast. And I mean, there are a lot of things theoretically about Boston that should work for Soto. Why wouldn't somebody who's a great hitter, a great left-handed hitter, great left-handed hitters love hitting at Fenway Park because the wall comes into play for them, because they can go the other way. Why would somebody like Juan Soto, who can do literally anything in a batter's box, why he wouldn't want to hit at Fenway Park for the rest of his career? Of course he would. All those things the Red Sox have going for them, the history, the team, the culture, the presence of great Dominican, Latin, great players. The only thing they don't have going is the seriousness, the cash. And Soto does want to win. He does. That's where the Red Sox can't compete or won't compete. 617-779-0985. We had a hell of a story come out of Wisconsin. Hell of a story that we've got to get to. We'll do that next.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Wisconsin man accused of faking his death and fleeing to Europe to come home and spend the holidays with his wife and 3 children. Ryan Borgwart went missing on August 12th when kayaking in Green Lake, about 50 miles northeast of Wisconsin Dells. Crews spent 54 days searching the lake. How big of a lake is this? Skaz, how long do you think it takes to search a lake? I mean, Dark Helmet had the desert combed in like an hour, right? 54 days they spent searching this lake? I guess they go on to say it's more than 200 feet deep. That's kind of deep, right? It's a big lake. This is Lake Michigan? What is this? The entire search effort cost $40,000. Turns out, not dead. Very much alive. Green Lake County Sheriff Mark Podell says, "Great news. We know that he's alive and well. And well, the bad news is we don't know exactly where he is and he's decided not to return home." Police say they've been in contact with Borgwart since earlier this month. They had a cell phone video he sent to them on November 11th. He said, "I'm in my apartment. I am safe and secure." Police say Borgwart since admitted to staging his disappearance by overturning his kayak, paddling back to shore in a child-size inflatable boat, riding his e-bike to a bus station, busing from Detroit to Canada, and then flying to Europe. The amount of effort, the time and effort that this man put in to getting the hell out of whatever situation he got into. You take a child-size inflatable out on a lake, you take your e-bike, you ride that to Detroit, you bus to Canada, then you fly to Europe somewhere. Who knows? Wiped his laptop, cleared his search history, took out a $375,000 life insurance policy, transferred that money into a foreign bank, set up a new email address, purchased airline cards, and on top of it has been in contact with a woman living in Uzbekistan. Eventually they were able to connect, and the police say they just want him to come home. Quote, "Christmas is coming. What better gift could he give his kids to be there for Christmas with them?" Police say that his family just wants him to return home. Skaz, if your wife, dad, whoever it may be, faked his own death, overturned his kayak, got on a child-sized inflatable boat, took an e-bike to Detroit, then bused to Canada, flew to Europe, met up with your mistress in Uzbekistan, took out a life insurance policy, transferred into a foreign bank account, wiped your search history, and said he doesn't want to come home for Christmas, would you want that guy home for Christmas?
I don't think this is a guy you want around for the holidays. Call me crazy. I don't think he's exactly who you want.
Listen, we all have people that we probably don't want to spend the holidays with, right? This one kind of takes the cake. That's aggressive. Never before. Honestly, have you ever heard of a story of a guy being like, listen, I can't deal with this right now?
Nothing close to this.
Nothing close to this. You know what that's called? You go down to the bar for a few